stock is now witness to climate change chipping away at its rich biological resources. Super typhoons, droughts, and natural disasters stemming from climate change may have obliterated from our ecosystem by now flora for cancer cure, or a genetic stock that can reverse the progression of type 2 diabetes. Where we are can be summed up in a few words. We are facing a climate-triggered apocalypse. IPCC Chairman Rahendra Pachauri warns policymakers, and I quote, that it is the poorest of the poor in the world, and this includes poor people, even in prosperous societies, who are going to be the worst hit. The national resolve should be to reverse this through a combination of personal initiatives, policy reforms, corporate responsibility, and groundbreaking work from LGUs. What should be the components of this national resolve? What really is to be done, and what can we do? First, putting in place a national framework program on climate change is an imperative policy reform. This, in fact, is a gist of Senate Bill 1890, which I filed and is awaiting Senate action. It is a measure of three main objectives. First, to establish a national strategy to inform and assist vulnerable communities in climate adaptation. Second, establishing mechanisms to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to attain the much-needed shift to a lower carbon economy. Third, supporting the international initiatives to address climate change, primarily the Kyoto Protocol. The potency of this bill lies in its well-crafted and well-researched specific proposals. It seeks a dramatic increase in the country's future capacity to use renewable energy. It establishes a money pool called Climate Adaptation Fund to bankroll projects that will hasten the shift to a low-carbon economy. It seeks to pilot a cap-and-trade project with polluting industrial sectors as trailblazers in the experiment. It seeks to provide incentives to promote investments in projects that involve clean energy, carbon sequestration, reforestation, and other projects that fall under the general category of climate change mitigation. Convinced of the wisdom of this strategy, think global, act local. The bill proposes the creation of a state agency, the Commission on Climate Change, to oversee the national and local efforts to move communities into adapting to the scourge. Many of our people are just becoming aware of the connection between the worsening disasters and climate change. Actually, very few are prepared for stronger storms, floods, and landslides, not realizing the future threat. The first order of the day must be a massive IEC campaign. I envision the use of multimedia for this: print, radio, television, cinema, the internet, to inform, to inspire our people to face this challenge, for there is much work to be done. The ground-level work includes the identification of communities that are at risk, so the proper protection work can be scientifically assessed and implemented. The conduct of a local risk and vulnerability analysis is also mandatory under the bill, so the appropriate mitigation and adaptation measures can be selected and institutionalized. I am now asking my colleagues to give this measure priority attention. At the local level, some frontier, pioneering actions are taking place, and the sheer brilliance and comprehensiveness of these actions are truly impressive. The Albay Declaration has an action agenda that will soon join the choice jargon of the warriors against global warming. Governor Joey Salceda, the young, dynamic, and innovative governor of Albay, calls this climate proofing. This will be led by the Center for Initiatives and Research in Climate Adaptation, or CIRCA, which will harness the resources of the academe, national and local government agencies, NGOs, and civil society. Cavite City, with the Philippine Network on Climate Change, has studied its vulnerability to erratic weather patterns, which will be factored into the comprehensive land use plan. In Mindoro, upland farmers are engaged in simple monitoring and early warning systems for imminent flooding in downstream communities. The Manila Observatory is assisting the farmers of Mindoro. We must take into account the poor situation of our countrymen in promoting climate measures. There are grassroots works that are just as impressive despite their simplicity and routine character. Mangroves, for example, can help protect our coastlines from storm surges and tsunamis, while bamboos deter soil erosion. In fact, I met last Friday with the Pampanga Chamber of Commerce and those who are initiating the propagation of bamboo in Pampanga and in Central Luzon. Bamboo is said to be the biggest sequester of carbon. 60 tons of carbon can be sequestered in 1 hectare of bamboo plantation alone. And bamboo, in fact, is indigenous to the Philippines and easily grows anywhere. We can start to plant and build natural barriers, one barangay